review for you. It's your boy Icon going over some Black Mirror, another Netflix review for you. What to watch. Watch some Black Mirror because it's really good. And in this second review that we're going to do, this episode is called Bete Noire. Or noir, or bete noire, or bete noire. I have no idea what that means. Clearly it's something French and it has something to do with food based on the nature of the episode. And like I said, it's your boy Icon as always. I'm going over these reviews. And before we get started, hit that notification bell, like and or subscribe. Check out my other reviews up on my channel, especially my take on the recent WWE releases for all you wrestling fans, because that seemed to have gotten a lot of buzz all over social media. So in this particular episode, it starts out with a young black woman who she lives with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend used to work at a fast food restaurant called Barney's, and she is a creator of food. She works for a company that produces like cakes or pastries or some sort of like sweets, and she's the one that comes up with like the new tastes, the new flavors, cuisines and everything for, you know, like for her company. And she's there, she comes up with this new thing. It has I guess it had like plant-based stuff in it, and she sent it, you know, for people to try. Now, in order for them to do this, they have to have a taste test group. They have to have people come in, taste her product to see if it's good, and if the taste testers give it a thumbs up, then they can push it out on the market for the public. One of the people that signed up to be a taster was this white girl. She comes in, you know, and then she sits down. Everybody at the table hated the black girl's, you know, like new thing. They said that it kind of sucked and they felt like there was too much going on. The white girl was the only one who actually liked it. And then she was like, oh, you guys should give it a second try. And then when everybody gave it a second try, all of a sudden everybody like magically liked it. The black girl recognized the white girl because the two of them used to go to high school together. And then she was telling her boyfriend that back in high school, the girl, she was kind of like quiet. She was a computer nerd. And she got in this whole big scandal where everybody, you know, like made fun of her for having sexual relations with one of the teachers. And then they kept calling her names, and she was disgraced, you know, like publicly ever since that happened. And then they were just like, you know, she was like, I don't know what happened to her after that, because then she disappeared. So the girl ends up applying for a job at the pastry factory where the black girl works. And the girl was confused because she said, I didn't know we were hiring. And then her boss was like, yeah, you know, like a job just became available, which was weird to her because she was like, you know, y'all told us before that we weren't going to hire anybody for at least like a year or two. So that was strange. I don't know, she bumps into the girl. She was like, hey, haven't seen you in a long time. Haven't seen you since high school. But the whole time they were talking, the black girl was kind of like giving the white girl an attitude from jump. And up until that point, the white girl hadn't done anything to her yet. She was just saying hello, but the black girl was like super suspicious of her. And then she was just like, oh, I don't know what's going on. You know, like this girl's crazy. Because she was even telling her boyfriend, she was like, back in high school, this girl was crazy and everything. And it was like a weird thing because even then for me, I was like, yo, you kind of coming off looking like crazy and like just trying to give her a hard time, which made me think, because when she said to her boyfriend that, oh, when we were in high school, like somebody came up with they started a rumor about her sleeping with a teacher, I immediately thought, okay, clearly you had something to do with that rumor because you're extremely defensive about this girl being at your job. So there was a moment where like the big CEO of the corporation, he was coming to taste, you know, one of the new products. So the black girl, you know, she emailed, you know, like the white girl, because she was like, yo, we're going to put this product into production. These are the ingredients. And one of the ingredients at the end, she said, was a plant-based, you know, something that they were going to put into the cake. So, you know, she sent the email to the white girl. The white girl got it, gave it to the, you know, the productions department, and they made the item. In the end, when the CEO came, he tasted it. And then she was just like, oh, yeah, you know, like it's made with plant-based materials or whatever. He said he liked it. And then he gave him the thumbs up to produce it. And then he left. One of the girls that put it together, she said, we didn't use plant-based. She said we actually used like a meat gelatin or something like that. And then it caused this whole outroar at the job because the boss was like, we weren't supposed to use like the gelatin. And then they got mad at the black girl. They was like, why was there gelatin? And then she said there shouldn't have been. She said, I put in the email to use plant-based. And then the white girl was like, no, that's not what the email said. The email said to use gelatin. And then she was like, no, it was plant-based. And then they checked the email, and in the email it said gelatin. So now the black girl's like, you know, that's not what I wrote, you know, like what's going on and everything. And then she started like, you know, thinking she was going crazy. And then this became a pattern at this point where there were certain things that the black girl was doing that ended up being something different than what she originally thought. Like, for instance, they would go into the chicken spot, Bernie's. And then the black girl was like, no, it's Barney's. And they were like, no, it's Bernie's, like like Erie or whatever. And then she was like, no, it's Barney's, like Y apostrophe yes. Because she was like, my boyfriend worked there for like 5 years and he had that stupid hat on his desk, like the whole time. Now everybody started looking at her like she was crazy. They were just like, even her boss was like, oh, you want to take some time off? She's like, no, I don't want to take time off. But she felt like the white chick had something to do with it. She was just like, oh, she's doing this somehow. She's trying to besmirch my name somehow. And then everybody was like, nah, you're just being crazy. So the final straw was the two of them finally had a conversation. And there was this one woman at their office that had like non-dairy milk that she kept in the refrigerator. And she kept throughout the whole episode, she kept saying somebody kept drinking her milk. And she didn't know who it was. So then finally, she the black girl confronts the white girl, and she's like, look, what happened to you back in high school? She's like, kids were being very cruel, and she said that I wasn't a part of that, and I apologize because you didn't deserve that. And then the white chick's face just went from like happy to like sadistic. She goes into the refrigerator, drinks the woman's milk, like drinks all the milk and like pours it on the floor. And so then when the girl comes out and she's like, who fucking drank my milk and why is it on the ground? Everybody blamed the black girl because the entire office was in a meeting and the black girl was the only person who wasn't in the meeting. The white girl was in the meeting, but she was the first person who came out of the meeting. So then she was just like, I didn't drink your milk. She was like, she drank the milk, and then she's trying to blame it on me. This girl is crazy. And then the boss goes, well, let's check the camera footage. So then they check the camera footage, and the camera footage shows the black girl, it shows the blonde girl taking the milk, and then it shows the black girl taking the milk out of her hand and then drinking it herself. And now I'm at the point where I know Black Mirror is a show about how technology can go awry and how technology goes crazy. But at this point, I'm like, we're talking about magic. Because there was nothing about this episode that made me feel like anything technologically sound, like no technology was being taken. I was like, this is fucking magic. I was like, this white girl knows magic, and I was just like, yo, this black chick better run. But then then she gets fired. She gets fired from her job, and then she's like outcast. She argues with her boyfriend. She ends up finding out that one of her friends from high school had died, and when she called her husband, she asked her husband. She was like, "Oh, what happened? To her? Like, I didn't get to see her. I just want to know what happened to." And they said that her husband said she went crazy. And she started seeing things that wasn't there, and she lost her grip on reality, and then she took her own life. So then after that, she decided to follow the white girl. She followed the white girl home, and when she followed her home, she found like this whole computer, brain setup thing that she had in her basement. It was like a bunch of servers and this weird computer thing in her basement. She went in the girl's bedroom and found like these little like necklaces, like these mechanical necklaces. And then the white girl came out of the shower, knew that she was in the room hiding under the bed, and then she was like, come out. And then she told her that, she said that this little magical necklace device that she has, it's something that she created to control and warp reality. She said she can change reality. She can go to different timelines, different realities. She can turn reality into anything that she wants. So she said that's what she did to make her other friend like off herself and go crazy. And she was doing that to her to besmirch her name. And then she was like, why would you do such a thing? And then she said, because you were the one that made up those horrible things about me and the teacher back in high school. Because she said that right before your friend jumped off of the building to take her own life, she told me it was you who told her about the affair with her and the teacher. And then she was like, why would you do that? And then she said that she didn't do it to be malicious. She said that her friend was like bothering her and just pestering her. And she said she kind of just blurted it out, I guess to get her off her back or just to shut her up. She said she didn't think that she would take that information and like tell the entire school. She was, and she apologized for that, but she was just like, oh, but it doesn't matter. She's like, I'm going to ruin your life and I'm going to kill you and everything. And then that's when the black girl, she was like, but if you have a device that can control reality and can create anything that you want, she was like, why would you waste that gift ruining people's lives? She said, you could have been the Empress of the Galaxy. And then she was like, don't you think that was the first thing that I did when I made the necklace? She's like, of course. She's like, I've done everything. She's like, I've been everything. She's like, I've been everybody. I've been rich. She's like, I've been an astronaut. She's like, I've done it all. But despite everything that I've done for myself, she said, despite all the stuff that I've done, all the beautiful glory that I've seen, the pain of how I was bullied in high school always stuck with me. and none of the things that I did made up for that bad feeling. So she said, like, I never got over that feeling. So the only thing I could do now is just get my revenge with the hope that that'll make me feel better. So then the black girl was, and then she told the black girl, she's like, well, your friend jumped off of a roof. She's like, you don't look like a jumper. So she's like, maybe you're somebody that'll slit your own wrist. And then the black girl, because she's black, she ran up on her and actually tried to fight her. So like she tried to fight her. The two of them got into a fight. The girl got a hand on her little magic device, and then she created a reality. And she was just like, oh, the police will be coming here right now, and they're going to say that you attacked me, and, you know, like you tried to kill me, and they're going to arrest you. And then as soon as she said that, like the cops came upstairs because she created that reality now. There was a moment where the black girl got her hands on one of the devices, but the white chick said, she said it's not going to work because it only works with my thumbprint. So she said only when I touch it, that's when it works. If anybody else touches it, it's not going to work. So the cops come upstairs, they arrest her. You know, the black girl, she crying, snot coming out of her nose. The white girl's like laughs. She's like, I finally got you, bitch. You know, so she's about to go to jail for the rest of her life. And then the black girl, you know, she was just like, screw that. She grabbed one of the police officers' guns and she shot the white girl in the head. And then she killed her. So that when the white girl died and she fell and hit the ground, the police now were trying to shoot her because she has a weapon in her hand. She's hiding under the bed. She's actually firing back at the police officers, which is crazy. And then the white girl had the device still in her hand while she was dead on the floor. So the black girl put her hand in the white girl's hand, made her touch the device, and she said the device now will always work for me. So then after that, she took the device, and then she said, I didn't kill her, she shot herself, and then that became the new reality. And then one of the cops was like, yeah, she shot herself in the head and everything, which is sad, but why would she shoot herself in the head? And then they were like, who are you, ma'am? And then she was just like, well, you work for me. You know, she was like, and then they was like, oh, we work for you. So who are you? Where do we work? She said, you work for me because I'm the empress of the galaxy. And then she created an alternate timeline. She created a reality for herself where she was literally the empress of the galaxy. Like legitimately, she was the empress of the galaxy. She had the gown on, the crown and everything, and the entire world was like hailing her praises. And that was the part where I got a little disappointed in her because she got her hands on the device and she could have used that device to correct reality and put things back. Hell, she could have brought the white girl back to life and she could have changed reality to the point where nobody bullied her and she never got bullied and nothing bad ever happened to her and she lived a good life. No, she didn't take the high road. She took the low road and she made herself the queen of the galaxy. And I was just like, I was very disappointed. I was legitimately disappointed because I thought we were going to do the right thing, people. But then after that, you know, that's how the episode ended, and thank you for tuning in. So we ended up getting the technology after all because this white girl basically created an alternate reality device where she could change reality. And it just goes to show that because even then, the white girl herself, she could have changed reality to the point where she never got bullied in school, and she didn't do that either. Instead, she just started doing things to, like, you know, feed her own ego, to make herself like popular, make herself rich and famous. The one thing that she could have changed was the one thing that she didn't change. And then the black girl made the same mistake because she did the same thing. But that was an interesting episode. I thought they was both going to die, but now the black girl going to follow in her footsteps, and she's just going to use that device now to basically do whatever the hell she wants in life. Her boyfriend did say that she was the type of person where she had to be on top and she had everybody had to, like, you know, kiss her behind and everything. So now that she got the power to do that, that's what she's going to do. But share your questions, comments, and concerns down below. Let me know what you thought about this particular episode of Black Mirror as we continue to roll on. So check out the previous episode because I got the first episode, which was Common People. That one's up or up on my YouTube channel. We got this one up on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to review the rest of the season, and we'll conclude this all the way to the end because Black Mirror so far is actually pretty interesting, and I enjoy it. Until next time, everybody, for some more Red Eyes Entertainment action, take care, look out for this reality and the next, and we're out this bitch!